everyone. Let's welcome our next company on the stage. It's Globex Mining.
Welcome everyone. I'm going to run through Globex Mining. My name is David Christie. I'm the president and COO of Globex. Globex is a company that I think is full of value, and we're going to talk about why we think that. We'll be making some forward-looking statements, so I'll have you read this at your leisure. So what is Globex? First of all, we are an exploration company by far. We're also a project generator, and we call ourselves a property bank. But we are also a royalty company. So we are a combination of three different kinds of mining companies you often hear about. We have a very experienced board and management team. We are focused on acquisitions and established mining camps, often along prolific structures. Many of our projects have known resources or past producers. We are in Tier 1 jurisdictions like Ontario, Quebec, Nevada, Arizona. We have a balance sheet that is very strong. We have over $35 million in cash and securities. And the company is focused on growing transactions, having more and more transactions as we move forward. We have very low share count, 56 million shares. We've had very little dilution. We don't need to raise money. Very good board, geologists, accountants, and finance people. Seasoned management team that's done this before. We'll talk about that. We're listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange, a number of German exchanges, as well as the OTCQX in the United States. If you look at the lower left-hand corner here, you can see we have 26% of our $35 million is in cash, another 29% is in fixed securities, 13% in junior mining stocks, 32% in senior precious mineral stocks. So this is like Agnico Eagles of the world. So very secure portfolio, moving up every day as we see the gold price move. So our management team, our founder Jack Stock is in the audience. He has built this company from scratch from day one, and we'll go through the acquisitions he's made over time. I'm president CEO. I have a background as an analyst, a geologist, a fund manager. I also ran a couple junior companies. Both of those have been taken out by seniors. And our board is very experienced. I'll have you read that at your leisure. So what is our model? So we are a mineral property bank or an incubator. We acquire properties. We do some work on those properties, make them better. We try to find people to either buy them or option them for us. They pay us, so we like to have income. That income reduces share dilution, helps us increase our exploration expenditures, and reduces shareholder risk, and we have no debt. Just give you a quick look here. The map in the inset in the center is the Abitibi of Quebec. This is one of the most prolific gold belts and metal belts in the world. That's where most of our projects are. You can also see we have projects in Nevada, Arizona, and New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, as well as Saxony, Germany. I mentioned we like to stake and acquire properties along prolific structures. You can see the Cadillac break here coming across the property and the Destor Porcupine here. That's where most of our properties are in Quebec. We like to stick close to those structures because they are the proven structures where mineralization has occurred. So over time, I mentioned Jack's been building this company since the beginning. In 2005, 20 years ago, there was 50 projects, including a number of options and very few royalties at that point in time. You can see how the blue part of the graph here, which is the royalties, has grown over time as more and more of our properties are optioned out and go to fruition, and we keep a royalty on those projects. It's now sitting at 262 properties in total, including the royalties and options. How's the commodity mix look? Mostly precious metals, well over 50% in precious metals, both on the royalty side and on the property mix. You can see base metals being the second, that's copper, lead, zinc, nickel. Just give you an idea, a few of the deals we've done recently. First one here, Frank Cure, we just finished the last payment from Agnico Eagle for this project. It was a $15 million deal. We just did a deal this week, announced this one is a rare earth project at Virgin Mountain in Arizona. It's a rare earth project. And we continue to look for other partners on our other projects we have. So we are transaction focused, as I mentioned. In this year alone, we've staked over 235 claims. Actually, we staked more this week, so that number's wrong. Option agreements, we've done 3 this year on projects that were 100% owned by Globex. We bought back 3 royalties 3 royalties on properties that we own. That way we can extinguish those royalties, so when we do a deal, they're less onerous. Consolidate ownership on the Black Cliff project. There was a JV with a partner, 50% them, 50% us. We bought their 50% for 142,000. There was 100,000 ounces there in historic resource. That was pretty cheap ounces we bought. And we did a bridge financing with a company starting a new copper deposit in Chile. And we get a ROFR on the royalty there, so that's a pretty exciting one as well. This is just a sampling of some of the companies we have as partners on both our option agreements and our royalties. And a lot of these companies are here at this conference, so I suggest you go speak to them in their booths. So I'm going to run through a few of our options, a few of our 100% owned projects, and a few of our royalties as well, just to give you an idea of some of our higher hitting projects we have. First of all, 3 projects we're going to do work on in 2025, 2026 would be the Ironwood project, first of all, which is on the Central Cadillac Wood project. It's 100% owned by Globex. We drilled 19 holes in 2024. We published a new 43-101 resource, 108,000 ounces, very high grade, over 14 grams per ton. And there was also an inferred resource of 8,614 ounces. We're currently assessing the next steps for that project. We're going to do the environmental work. We're going to move it towards production, but we have not made a production decision. On that same project, we're going to do other exploration. I'll talk about that in a minute. On Lyndhurst, this is a base metal project in Quebec as well. Very Kid Creek-like, great targets, very strong copper mineralization here. It was a previous producer of 156,000 tons, or at 1.93% copper, so really good grades. So we'll drill that this fall. Also being drilled this fall is 3 to 6 holes on our Ruan merger property. This sits on the Cadillac break that I showed you a minute ago. We're going to drill 1,000 meters there. The East O'Neill showing is the target there, 7.08 grams in 1959 at over 10.27 meters. So that's a pretty good intercept. We think we're going to see some interesting things there. This map shows you our Wood Central Cadillac project. Up in the corner here, you see the Ironwood project. The pink group you see here, this is the Pichet group. And to the west of us is Radisson's project. They just raised $25 million to continue drilling that horizon, right up to our boundary. We've done very little work along that horizon in our project recently. We have 2 old deposits there, the Wood and the Cadillac. So I think it would behoove us not to do some drilling on there. We're currently doing some compilation work to see how our property compares to the Radisson property, and we'll report back to you when we're finished that. So this map is very busy. The reason it's busy is all these drill holes. All these green dots are drill holes. The red is the Ruan merger property. The green here that you see where all these drill holes is the old Hiva Hoska deposit that Hecla Mining has. And that's why there's so many drill holes right to our boundary. And as you move into our property, very little drilling. We're drilling the East O'Neill here this fall. That's where we got that 7-gram assay. We're excited to get in there and put some holes in there. There's been very little drilling on this project. This is the Lyndhurst property I mentioned. You can see some of the grades here that have come out of this project in the past. So we're quite excited to get in here and drill the couple holes and see whether we can hit the mineralization we expect to be there. The project that wasn't mentioned in the opening summary was the Elridge property. This is probably one of my more favorite projects. This is the project produced about 730,000 ounces in 2 different production stints, one in the late 50s and one in the late 80s. I'm going to show you this map. This is a long section. This is a long section through that deposit. You can see all the old workings in yellow here. The red dots drilled below the workings all have good ore grade mineralization hits in them. We think there's huge potential here below the existing workings, and so we're currently evaluating where we would drill on this project. Another project that we're looking at finding a partner on is the Timmins Metallic Magnesite project. Just gives you an idea of the variety of commodities we have. This is a world-class deposit, over 100-year mine life, great grades, and magnesite is highly sought after as a critical mineral. Moving on to royalties, we have 3 royalties we're going to talk about here. All these companies are doing a lot of work on their royalties right now, or on these projects. Radisson, this is their O'Brien project, or R2 royalties. They're drilling 50 to 60,000 meters on this project, right up to our boundary of the Wood project. And their recent PEA showed that 22% of the ounces they have in resource report to our royalty. Parbec just increased their resource by 29%. This is exciting for us as well, and they continue to explore that property. And on the Nordo West and East, a 100,000 meter drill program is being started on this project by Cartier Resources over the next 18 months. They already have 2.35 million ounces there, and part of that sits on our royalty claims. We expect them to drill some holes on our royalty claims across the next while. One of the projects that is going to production in the next little while is a project called Bell Mountain. This is in Nevada. It's a heap leach deposit. They've just done a reorganization of their management team, but they expect to go into production in 2026. 55,000 ounces over 2 to 3 years. Not a huge mine, but we have a 3% GMR on this, so it'll be significant revenue to us. I mentioned the New Alger and the Kawagama royalty, which sits on Radisson's O'Brien project. Like I said, they just raised $25 million to drill this project alone. There's our wood project sitting right next door. We have these 2 royalties. We're benefiting from that drilling by the royalties, but also from the information it's going to give us to explore our wood project. This map shows you, this is the Kawagama boundary line. Everything to the right is on our royalty claims. You can see some of the hits here, 15 grams, 3.5 grams, 8.41 grams, some really good numbers coming out of the Radisson drilling. We expect to see more of that as they continue to drill. They have 4 drills on the project now. I mentioned the Parbec royalty, 3% GMR on this. This sits just to the north of the Canadian Malartic gold mine. And this is the drilling on the Nordo project. So you can see the Chimo mine, which has most of the resource in the Nordo West here. And this is all our royalty claims here to the east. Just to understand some of the commodity diversification we have, this is Brunswick's Mirage project, or our Lac Escal lithium royalty. Again, 2.5% GMR on this. These guys are very active exploring this project. And one more before we move on to the options. Mount Sorcier iron deposit in Quebec, near Chibougamau. This is going through feasibility stage right now. They will be done that feasibility stage by the end of Q1 2026. They tell me they're already financed to go to production on this by about 80% of the financing anyway. So we expect this to put out the feasibility study at the end of Q1. This project has a 1.6 billion US NPV at 8% in their PEA. So it's going to be really interesting to see what their feasibility study shows. So on the options, Duquesne West, probably one of the more newsy ones recently. They just put out a resource, the Emperor. They doubled the resource to 1.46 million ounces at 1.69 grams per ton this year. They're drilling 8 to 10,000 meter drill program. Devil's Pike, which is a new option with Bria Resources in New Brunswick. This is an antimony gold project. These guys want to put the gold project into production and continue to explore for the antimony. They get some pretty high grades of antimony there, 12.5. And then Bald Hill, antimony gold project, also New Brunswick. It's they're hitting massive stibnite drill holes with very strong antimony grades. And they're also drilling, 6,000 meter drill program there. I mentioned the Emperor project in Duquesne West. We expect a payment from them next week as our anniversary date comes near. This is the Bria Resources project. The gold resource sits in here, but you can see some of these antimony grades across the property, so it's a very exciting property from that point of view. And sitting next door almost to the Bria Resources property is the antimony resources property, Bald Hill. These guys are drilling very, very good results here. 14.91% antimony over 3 meters, 1.1, 9.85, some really good intercepts. Probably one of the highest grade antimony deposits in the world. And of course, antimony is a highly sought after metal these days. So why do you buy Globex? First, we have a very tight capital structure with a history of minimal stock dilution, experienced, fiscally prudent management team and board, income from royalties and options, and some of those royalties are moving towards production. We have no debt, very strong balance sheet, and we own all our assets. Well positioned on major gold localizing structures, faults such as the Cadillac and Desert Porcupine breaks, with property and our large royalty portfolio. We can execute exploration very quickly. We have a very experienced staff and office, and we're in very low risk political jurisdictions like Nevada, Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick. And that's all I have for now. If you'd like to come to our booth, ask any questions, or if you want to go to our website, all the details are there as well. Thank you very much.